The air was calm, and for a moment, the playground felt like its own little world. Lily's laughter filled the space. Every time the swing came forward, her tiny hands gripped the chains, and her bright eyes lit up whenever she flew toward me. "Higher, Daddy," she chirped again. I smiled and gave the swing a gentle push, careful not to send her too high. At 2 years old, everything still felt new and exciting to her. The way she laughed, pure, carefree, completely unaware of the worries adults carried, was the best part of my entire week. Around us, the park was alive with quiet activity. A group of parents chatted on a nearby bench. A couple of older kids were racing each other across the grass. Someone's dog barked happily in the distance. Just a normal Saturday morning then. I noticed the sudden shift in the atmosphere. People weren't laughing as much anymore. Conversations got quieter. A few parents glanced toward the entrance of the playground. That's when I saw her. She marched in like she owned the place. Perfectly styled hair, oversized sunglasses, a clipboard clutched tightly under her arm. Like it was some kind of badge of authority. Karen, the HOA president. Now, if you've ever lived in a neighborhood with a homeowners association, you know the type. Every rule must be followed. Every blade of grass must be the correct height. Every mailbox must face the right direction. Karen took those responsibilities very seriously. Too seriously. I had seen her around before, usually knocking on someone's door about trash cans left out too long, or a car parked improperly. Most people tried to avoid her whenever possible. Unfortunately for me, that morning I was directly in her path. At first, I tried to ignore her. I kept my focus on Lily as the swing moved back and forth. She, SQUEALLD. But Karen didn't walk past. Instead, she stopped. Right behind us, I could feel her presence before she even said anything. You know that feeling when someone is standing just a little too close. The swing slowed as I turned slightly, just enough to glance over my shoulder. Sure enough, there she was, standing with her arms crossed, watching us. Not smiling, not saying hello, just staring like she was inspecting a problem that needed fixing. I gave a polite nod, hoping that would be the end of it. It wasn't. Karen stepped forward and cleared her throat. Loudly, one of those exaggerated coughs people use when they want everyone to pay attention. AHEM. A couple of parents nearby turned their heads. I stopped the swing completely and looked at her. "Yes," I asked calmly. She tilted her head slightly, her lips tightening into a thin line as she glanced at Lily, sitting in the bucket swing. Then she looked back at me with a disapproving expression. "I'm going to need you to stop that," she said sharply. For a moment, I honestly thought I had misheard her. "Stop what?" I asked. She pointed directly at the swing. That Lily looked between us, confused, her little legs still dangling in the air. I blinked. "You mean pushing my daughter on the swing?" Karen adjusted her sunglasses and tapped her clipboard. "Yes," she said coldly, "because, according to the HOA playground guidelines, you're breaking the rules." And just like that, the peaceful Saturday morning was about to turn into something none of us expected. Karen didn't move. She just stood there with her clipboard pressed against her chest, staring at Lily, like the tiny swing was somehow violating neighborhood law. Lily kicked her little shoes happily, still swinging slightly from the momentum of the last push I had given her. "Daddy," she said softly. "Push." Her tiny voice cut through the awkward silence. I gave the swing a small push, trying to return the moment to normal. Karen immediately stepped closer. "I just told you to stop." Her voice was sharp enough that several parents turned their heads again. I took a slow breath, reminding myself that arguing in front of my daughter wasn't something I wanted to do. "She's 2, I said calmly. "She's just playing." Karen flipped a page on her clipboard like she was preparing evidence for a courtroom. "That doesn't matter," she replied. "Rules apply to everyone." A mom sitting on a nearby bench rolled her eyes so dramatically it was almost theatrical. Another dad muttered under his breath, "She's unbelievable." Karen ignored them completely. Her focus was locked on me. "I'm going to ask you one more time," she said. "Are you a registered resident of this HOA community?" I blinked. "Yes," I answered slowly. "I literally just told you that. And your address." I hesitated for a second. Something about the way she asked made it feel less like a normal question and more like an interrogation. But I gave it to her. Again, she scribbled something on her clipboard. That was all she said. Just, Then she looked back up at me with the same suspicious expression. "Well, I don't recognize you," she said. I almost laughed. "You don't recognize every resident in the neighborhood." Karen lifted her chin slightly. "As HOA president, I make it my business to know who belongs here." The words hung in the air for a moment. Behind her, one of the dads quietly said, "Oh boy." Lily giggled again as the swing moved forward, higher. I gave her another gentle push. Karen stepped directly between me and the swing chain. "That's enough," she snapped. Now Lily looked confused. The swing slowed and stopped again. "Why?" Lily asked, in her tiny voice. My heart sank a little, hearing that. I crouched beside her and smiled. "It's okay, sweetie." Karen tapped the clipboard again. "If you can't provide proof of residence," she said firmly, "then, technically, you're trespassing." A few gasps came from the benches nearby. "Are you serious?" one mom whispered. I stood up slowly. "Karen," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "my house is 2 blocks away. That's not proof. You want me to bring my utility bill to the playground?" She shrugged. "That would help." Someone behind her actually laughed out loud, but Karen didn't care. She was completely serious. "I'm responsible for protecting this community," she continued, "and that includes preventing unauthorized people from using HOA property." Lily tugged gently on the swing chains. "Daddy, push." Her little voice was softer now. I looked back at Karen. "Look," I said, "we're leaving in 5 minutes, anyway." Karen shook her head. "No." The word came out cold and final. "I'm going to need you to remove your child from the swing immediately." The entire playground had gone quiet. Now, parents stopped talking. Kids slowed down their games. Everyone was watching, and just when I thought the situation couldn't get any more ridiculous, Karen pulled her phone out of her pocket. "If you refuse," she said, "I'll have to call security." Asterisk for a moment. I couldn't even process what had just happened. Lily's small arms were wrapped tightly around my neck as she cried into my shoulder. Her tiny body trembling. I kept one hand on the back of her head, gently rubbing her hair, while checking quickly to make sure she wasn't hurt. "It's okay, sweetheart," I murmured softly. "Daddy's got you. You're okay." Her crying echoed across the playground, breaking the stunned silence that had fallen over everyone. Then the reaction started. "What the hell was that?" a voice shouted from behind me. I looked up. The dad who had been sitting on the bench earlier had already stood up. His face was red with anger as he walked toward us. "You just pushed a toddler out of a swing," he said. Another mom rushed over, kneeling beside me. "Is she okay?" she asked, gently, peeking at Lily with concern. Oh my gosh, that was completely uncalled for. Lily buried her face deeper into my shoulder, still sniffling. Karen, meanwhile, stood a few feet away, like none of this was her fault. She adjusted her sunglasses and straightened her clipboard. "I was enforcing the playground rules," she said stiffly. The dad stared at her in disbelief. "You shoved a swing with a child in it." "I stopped unauthorized use of HOA equipment," Karen replied. Several parents began talking at once. "Are you serious right now? That's assault. You can't touch someone else's kid." The mom, who had been watching from the other side of the playground, hurried over with her phone, already in her hand. "I saw the whole thing," she said firmly. "You pushed that swing on purpose." Karen scoffed. "That's not what happened." "Oh, really?" The mom replied, raising her phone. "Because I was recording my son on the slide, and you're clearly in the background." Karen's expression changed for the first time. Just a flicker, but it was enough for everyone to notice. You should delete that immediately. Karen snapped. No chance. The mom said. Another parent stepped forward. Someone needs to call the police. Karen's head whipped toward him. That won't be necessary, she said quickly. But the damage was already done. People were angry. Now, the dad who had first confronted her pointed toward Lily, who was still clinging to me. She's 2 years old, he said. What kind of person shoves a toddler out of a swing? Karen crossed her arms again, clearly trying to regain control of the situation. If the father had complied with HOA regulations, stop. The mom beside me interrupted sharply. Just stop talking. More parents had gathered around us now. Even some of the older kids stood nearby, whispering to each other as they watched. One of the moms looked at me. Do you want some ice for her? I've got a cold pack in my bag. I nodded gratefully. Thank you. While she walked to grab it, the dad pulled out his phone. I'm calling this in, he said. This is way beyond HOA nonsense. Confidence started slipping. You're all overreacting, she said defensively. But no one was backing down anymore. Not after what everyone had just seen. The mom with the phone stepped forward again and looked Karen directly in the eye. You might want to start thinking about what you're going to say, she said calmly. Karen frowned. Why? The mom lifted her phone slightly.